The Fed already cut the short-term rates because you cannot have long-term rates coming down while short-term rates are still at highly elevated levels.
Good morning. Welcome to another Motivational Monday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty, joining you from LPT headquarters here in Lake Mary, Florida. I'm going to bring in Robert Palmer, founder and CEO, who is joining us still in New York City. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Hey, man, good morning. I am sick.
I
I
know
picked
it.
up a cold or the flu or something running hard these last 6 weeks, but I'm here. I'm put together, but I'm feeling a little under the weather.
I know it, man. I saw you on Saturday. It was starting to creep in, or really Friday night at dinner, you started to complain about it. Saturday, I knew you were struggling, so I guess on Sunday, it finally got to you.
Yeah. I'm here
Yeah.
though. We
Yeah.
keep pushing.
That's right. We always show up. Okay, so let me set the stage real quick. Last week, we were in New York City. We had some of our team leaders come in for our Team Growth Plus mastermind, and we had the opportunity to kind of go through a roadshow in New York. And so for those who are listening, I just want to kind of set the stage as to why this would be important for you. So if you are here at LPT,
We did not have a road show. That is a legal term, and we absolutely did not do that. All
not a
right.
roadshow. Okay, we had a tour. Is that okay to say?
We took some tours. We met with some different
Perfect.
institutions, but we absolutely did not have a road show.
Okay. All right. I was unaware of that legality. So we'll strike that from the record. So we had the opportunity to tour around New York. And so the reason why that's important is because everyone who is here on this call is a shareholder essentially of LPT if you've closed a transaction. And so just a quick reminder, if you're new to the brokerage, a couple different ways you can join along in the fun. One, you have your production milestones, which means as you close transactions, you receive equity in the company. And then as you introduce people to LPT who also close a transaction, it also creates another award for you. And so with that being said, you're an equity owner. And so we've gone to New York and we're kind of, talking through what that looks like to go on the IPO process. So Robert, I'll kind of turn it over to you to walk us through, what we're doing, why it's important, and how it affects our LPT agents.
Yeah, so I've been really clear from the beginning. Like, we built this company with the goal and the intention of entering the public markets. I believe that it's an important part of the future of cloud brokerage and the future of brokerage model as a whole, that agents can be shareholders. An important part of that process is that ultimately the company needs to go public, is my belief, for that share promise, to make sense. And so we've been on that path, and the decisions we've made from really day one of this business have been about how do we best position the company to one day enter the public markets. And so we continued on that journey. We've shared that we hired amazing auditors, and we've met with investment bankers along the way and gotten their feedback and their perspectives. And this trip was interesting because for the first time ever, we met with the actual stock exchanges. And so we met with NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange to understand, hey, when we achieve our goal in the future of having an IPO, which exchange do we want to list on? And what's really interesting is they both really want our business. I mean, you were there, like, they rolled out the red carpet for us. They are really wooing us so that when we get to that point and we are ready to take LPT public, NASDAQ wants us to list on NASDAQ, and NYSE wants us to list on NYSE. And so this trip was a great opportunity to sit down with them and understand, what can that look like? What do they bring to the table for us if we choose them as our exchange when the time comes? What type of marketing support, what type of events can we have in their spaces? How are they going to help us, achieve our mission? And it was really great to be able to spend time with them. And then, of course, while we were here, we met with our law firm, Davis Polk. We met with our auditors just while we're in the city, had a lot of great meetings. But the big kind of purpose for this trip was to, again, in this journey that I've shared from the beginning, our intention and our goal is for LPT to be a publicly traded company, is to start the conversations with the exchanges, because before we can be a publicly traded company, we have to choose an exchange. And so this trip was about having those conversations to understand which of the exchanges that we will decide to list LPT on. And again, a lot more conversations to happen, a lot more to discuss, but a great chance to meet with them in person, start those conversations, and understand what each exchange would bring to the table for us in the future.
Yeah, and so I know you have not made any decisions. Is there anything that you're weighing out? Is there anything that you look or you like about one or the other? Like, I know when we were at New York Stock Exchange, it had the actual trading floor, and you can just feel the heritage in that building. And then, you've got New York Stock Exchange, I'm sorry, the NASDAQ, which is very tech-driven, very, futuristic. So obviously controls Times Square, super cool experience. Anything that you're weighing out?
No, look, I think they're both fantastic. Both have some of the largest companies in the world, trading on their exchanges. I think really what's going to move the needle for me is who do I feel like really wants that deepest partnership with LPT? Who believes in what we're building? Who really understands how revolutionary this model is compared to the brokerages that came before us, who understand the dynamics that have led to our meteoric growth, the dynamics that have led for us to look so differently than our peers and our competitors. And so, really for me, it's about which of the two do I feel like is going to lean in the most to support LPT, to support our agents, to provide opportunities for us, provide connections for us, introductions to other amazing companies. And that was really the message I shared with them in this in-person, visit. And now they're going to do their homework and come back to us with proposals on what that looks like. But really, really interesting process. And I can tell you, it's flattering to have these two massive companies, basically competing for our business in the future. Because look, a lot of companies don't have that. A lot of companies are almost begging the exchanges to take them or just having to take whatever they can get. Because of our growth, because of the scale we've received. Again, we're much bigger than the other brokerages were when they went public, so we've already, in a lot of ways, delayed this because I want us to have a certain scale and a certain amount of market power before we make the decision to go public. And so it's just really interesting and really flattering to see the attention we were able to get and the relationship and how we're building it. LPT is a rising star all over Wall Street, and we're not even listed yet. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And so to be a Davis Polk 175-year-old law firm and the best of the best, arguably, and for them to be excited and talk about how different we are and really your leadership and how's that's different, it was really encouraging. So I know the people in the room had the opportunity to feel that. Anything you want to kind of share between Davis Polk and Deloitte?
Yeah, I thought Davis Polk was really interesting. So this is a 175-year-old law firm, absolute titan of probably the number one IPO law firm in the country. Absolute titan of creating the current modern capitalist system. They were J.P. Morgan, the person's banker back in the day, like not the bank,
like the
but
person.
his personal banker. Yeah, like former presidents were on there, but just absolutely insane heritage. And so what was really amazing is, we work with a couple of partners there who are fantastic people, but they actually had their managing partner, which is their equivalent of a CEO, come down and spend an hour with us. And I got to tell you, like, I know they have tens of thousands of clients, and I can promise you they're not all getting an hour at a time, with the CEO, the managing partner of this massive law firm. They did $3.1 billion in revenue last year. And then just to give you an idea of the types of deals that the CEO managing partner usually works on, he shared like when the Commanders, the NFL Washington Commanders were sold, he worked on that deal. He worked on the Lakers sale. So he's only coming out to hang out with the absolute biggest, most important clients. And so we were absolutely flattered that he gave us an hour of his time. Really, really amazing individual. Like, you can tell why he's in that role. Young for that role. He was put in that position as chairman of the board and managing partner at just 40. I think he said 42 or 43.
Yeah.
43. So, really young to have that type of power and responsibility given to him. I can tell you, after spending an hour with him, it's clear why. He's just one of those individuals that really does stand out and is absolutely amazing. And so, again, we were fortunate and blessed to have that. When we met with the folks at J.P. Morgan, and we got a tour of their new $3.1 billion building, and they brought a lot of folks to meet with us who were just like one or two levels below Jamie Dimon. It really is great to be able to just have the attention of these absolute powerhouses in the markets as they look to us and look to our decisions around timing and future decisions. And it's just it was a really great trip, and we're not done yet. We've got a couple more days. Tomorrow night we've got the Deloitte Fast 500, and then I'm finally coming home on Wednesday.
Yes. I know you'll be ready to make your way back. Okay, so I want to reverse real quick. You did an interview at the New York Stock Exchange where they had the opportunity to kind of question you about the playing field of real estate. So if you're okay, if you want to transition now, I would love to kind of show that video and then maybe go into what you're going to be doing this week with the Fast 500.
Yeah, let's go to the video.
Florida-based LPT Realty is new on the scene, founded in 2022, but it's already making moves. According to the 2025 Real Estate Almanac, the firm is the 16th largest brokerage by U.S. sales volume and the 10th largest by transactions. Joining me now with more is Robert Palmer, LPT Realty's founder and CEO. Robert, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. A bird's eye view of the stock exchange, we should say. What is behind LPT Realty's rapid growth?
Yeah, I think we came on with a model that real estate agents needed. We look at consumers and really feel like the real estate agent is the core of that transaction, largest purchase of most people's lives, and our job is to support those agents, give them the best technology, the best tools, the best marketing, something we're particularly known for, to help those consumers sell houses. And that's what it's all about for us, and we've had resounding success and response from the industry.
Certainly only a few years old, launching in 2022. What did you feel was missing in Florida and elsewhere when you decided to enter this space?
Yeah, so we started in Florida. We've now grown to all 50 states. We're in 4 Canadian provinces as well and a couple of international destinations. I think as we looked at it, there was just this disconnect as the industry's evolved and the industry's matured. We believe the future is the single entity, one brokerage like us who can cover all 50 states compared to the legacy franchise model. If we go back in time, real estate was very localized. MLSs put out books of listings. It was very much about that local office, that local franchise. And we see the future being real estate teams and independent agents that are backed by a platform like ours. And so there's been a few that came before us. We looked at some things we think they got right, some things we think they got wrong, and we improved the model, and the results have been amazing.
And we understand you're a hybrid brokerage model, combining fee-based and capped brokerage models. How is that model unique?
Yeah, so when we look at it, there's really three different platforms or 3 different compensation models that most real estate agents are drawn to. And so in order to serve the most number of agents, which then allows us to serve the most number of consumers, we needed to meet each of those agents where they are. We call it individual definition of success. And so by having the 3 different compensation models, 2 that are what we would call agent first branding, 1 that we would call brokerage first branding, allows each agent, no matter that definition of success, to fit into our platform and serve their consumers at the absolute highest level.
Mortgage rates have been coming down in recent months, and by and large, traders do anticipate that we'll see another rate cut by the Fed in December. Is that causing more buyers to come off the sidelines?
Yeah, we definitely see a lot of rate sensitivity. When we see those windows of time where the 10-year Treasury does come down and 30-year mortgage rates hit those brief lows as they've been, we do see a lot of buyers. It feels like there's a lot of people watching the internet daily, watching mortgage rates daily, and when that magic interest rate comes into play, they're going to buy or sell. Internally, we call it prepping for the boom. We think there's a big real estate boom coming as far as transaction count. We've been over 3 years now at this 4 million annualized home sales compared to a normal year for our country is 5.5 million. So there's a lot of folks that just aren't buying and selling right now because they're waiting for that interest rate. They feel locked in and trapped by their current interest rate. And we do believe that sometime next year when the Fed cutting and inflation woes finally kind of put at ease, that we're going to see this big boom. And so we call that Boomsday. And at LPT, we are Boomsday prepping to make sure that our agents are ready to serve those consumers when the time comes and when all of this inventory and all this pent-up demand starts to buy and sell homes again.
So as you prepare for Boom Day,
yeah.
I like that play on words there. What are the biggest trends that you're seeing from potential home buyers this year?
Yeah, I think really the interest rate sensitivity is massive. What we're finding is there's pain too. People are delaying moving. They're staying in a home maybe that's too small for them. Maybe they've gotten a new job across town, but they're commuting too far. Maybe they've had another child in the family and they don't have enough bedrooms. They're delaying that move, and it's creating a more and more uncomfortable situation. And so I think the longer people find themselves in that uncomfortable situation, the less low rates need to be for them to take action. And so we think there's going to be this collision point where people have kicked the can down the road for as long as they can on buying and selling. We think that's going to hit around the same time that the 10-year and 30-year mortgage rates finally do start to come down in response to recent Fed cuts, and that's going to create a lot of momentum. And so the key is get in position now because it is going to create more competition for homes. We're seeing an increase in inventory right now, which is setting us up for that higher home sales number next year. But right now, buyers actually have a little more leverage in most markets in the U.S. to get a better deal or to actually have some choice around homes, and we expect that to go back to a tight market sometime next year as rates do come down.
What role is artificial intelligence playing in your own operations?
Oh, it's massive. I mean, everything from the way our agents interact with their customers to the way we check files, the way we pay our agents, the way we check contracts and files for compliance. It's probably one of the most exciting times I would think to be an entrepreneur. I can't imagine any business right now that isn't being highly impacted by artificial intelligence. AI's ability to read documents and understand contracts has really come a long way. in the last 18 to 24 months. We're embracing it at a very high level. I'd say as a younger company, we were built for this. We've got an amazing data layer inside of our company where we can format that data and organize that data in a way that is set up for AI, where a lot of our competitors are stuck on legacy systems that isn't formatted in those ways or doesn't give them the full access to feed their data into the large language models. And we're excited to take advantage of that emerging technology and continue to grow and create more efficiencies.
All right, Robert Palmer, he's LPT Realty's founder and CEO, joining us here at the New York Stock Exchange. Robert, thanks.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Awesome. So one of the things that you'll notice is so much consistency in what Robert says every single day to all of us when we're in their meetings with our partners, same exact message. And then, of course, you see that same message again going out to a consumer-facing, an investor kind of deck. So just so much consistency, man. We're so proud that you are at the helm of the ship.
Yeah, look, it's easy to do when it's all true, right? I mean, this is what I believe. This is what gets me out of bed every day. I think some CEOs maybe find themselves in situations where they're trying to spin one story internally and a different story externally. And I feel like we lead with what's going on. We be transparent. We share the wins and the losses. And the big part of that is Motivation Monday. Our ability to speak to the entire brokerage every single week is powerful because there are times when the message will change or the market will change. And in here, we're always up to date. We're always in lockstep. We always understand kind of what the latest goals are, what the latest mission is, what the latest market reaction is. We'll do a little bit of quick market update here in a bit because we did have the government reopen. But yeah, I'm proud to represent. I think it's interesting and it's time for the world outside of our industry to start to hear about LPT and what we're bringing to the table and the benefits of listing a home with an LPT agent because of the enhanced marketing through the Power Pack and our other technology and relationships. Just all the tools we provide, all of the data we provide, and the freedom we give our agents to control the branding and meet their customers where they are. I think it's very timely, and I think now we're there. We've got enough scale. We hit number 10 in the U.S. in transaction size last year. We're even bigger now. I think we're probably going to be in that 7 slot, maybe the 6 slot when the next set of numbers come out. But yeah, man, I'm proud every day. I'm proud to wake up and lead all of our amazing agents, and I'm proud of everybody who gets on this call with us every week because they care enough about their business and their craft and this brokerage to take half an hour every Monday and come spend it with us. So thank you all for being a part of this journey, and just know that I'm going to go out there and represent us in the best way possible every chance I get as we continue to get the LPT message out there and heard by consumers and investors and agents across the country.
That's right. That is right. Okay, so let's take a quick fast forward to what this week is going to be like, and then we will jump over into market update.
Yeah, so we've got the Deloitte Fast 500 tomorrow night, which I got to tell you is like a dream. The Deloitte Fast 500, I would say, is the more I don't know, like from my perspective, like the more special ranking lists. Like you've got the Inc. 5000. I think you see a lot of companies get on the Inc. 5000. Obviously, this is only 500. It's put on by Deloitte, who is a Big Four accounting firm and an auditor. And I can tell you they're a little more scrutinous of the numbers than maybe some of the other lists that go out there. And so we're going to find out tomorrow night where we rank on the Fast 500. And then I think they're going to release the full list either tomorrow night or Wednesday morning. We were not allowed to put out a press release, I think, until 5 a.m. Wednesday morning once we learn where we are. But yeah, man, it's just a dream come true. I think back in time and, the idea of even being recognized on something like the Deloitte Fast 500 up until 2 or 3 years ago would have just felt completely impossible to me, right? You talk about dreaming big, you talk about self-limiting beliefs and glass ceilings. I have them too. And you go back in time 3 or 4 years and, I was building a very successful regional mortgage company that did a lot of noise and had a lot of success in Florida, but never had the scale to be recognized on something like the national Deloitte Fast 500. And, so here we are. And again, we find out where we rank tomorrow night.
Any hopes, any predictions?
Anything, top 50, amazing. Top 20, unbelievable. Like, okay. I don't know. It's really hard to believe because here's what you got to understand. We can kind of look at other years and be like, well, we think we did pretty good, but you got to think we're up against these AI companies. I mean, when you look at the AI growth curve, like AI just jumped up and to the right. And so, the idea that we're hanging in there on a year when AI has been all the story and all the rage, and you have AI companies growing at absolutely unimaginable rates. I don't know. So we'll see. I mean, usually like biotech companies grow really fast. AI companies are a new class that we're not on past years. So again, I just feel blessed to even be in the room. We're here in Manhattan. The Deloitte Fast 500 event is actually back at the New York Stock Exchange. So
Nice.
I'll have been at the NYSE 2 Tuesdays in a row, which is pretty crazy. 1 in the morning for that opening bell and the interview we did, and then tomorrow night for this awards ceremony for the Deloitte Fast 500. And it just, again, man, I wake up every day excited for this journey. And some days I have to pinch myself because it does feel surreal sometimes to just achieve the amount of success we have and change the number of lives that we have. I've had so many people reach out to me and say, hey, LPT has changed my life. LPT gave me the courage. LPT made me excited about real estate again. LPT gave me the courage to start a real estate team when I'm winning, or LPT gave me the courage to take my real estate team from 5 agents to 20 agents, or LPT gave me the courage to go full time in real estate. Like, those stories are also fulfilling to me. And it's the combination of all of that then puts us on the stage at an award like the Deloitte Fast 500, that puts us in the room, with the New York Stock Exchange and the vice chairman of the NASDAQ, who came out personally to welcome us. All of that is a testament to the impact and success we're having on a daily basis. These are just the results from that. You don't get to set out and say, hey, I want to go win the Deloitte Fast 500, or hey, I want to go rank really high, or hey, I want to go meet with NASDAQ. You have to do the right things. You have to build a great business. You have to impact lives. You have to bring forward a mission that is bigger than yourself. And then that's what leads to all of these amazing opportunities. And this last week and a half has been a real culmination for us.
Yeah, it really has been. I think you said it so well, which is that we focus on changing the lives of our entrepreneurs. And you said it in the very beginning that you wanted to push the industry forward. And whether you're with LPT or not, you've benefited from it because, these other cloud-based brokerages have had to change their model to compete with the benefits that LPT agents have. So everyone should be thankful. But okay, so that's going to be exciting. Being on the list is exciting enough. Top 50, amazing. Top 20 is unheard of. Is there a chance we go number one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Yeah, just making sure. All right, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's flip over to a market update. We had the government shut down and reopen last week. We know that there was a ton of reports and data that was being put off while that shutdown was down. What should we expect over the next couple of weeks as we digest this data, as these reports come online?
Yeah, so the September jobs data, which should have come out the first Friday of October, is going to be released this Thursday. So it's like 43 days late, I think. We're going to get, so again, the September data that would have come out in October is coming out this Thursday. Investors are really going to be watching for that. This is really interesting because, again, last week I said, hey, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We have more insight now. It appears that we will not get an October jobs report. For the first time in 77 years, there will not be a jobs report based on the activity that happened in October. And that's the report that would have come out the first week of November. And the reason being is no one was working to collect the data in order to do the survey. And so the jobs report survey, the staff at the Bureau of Labor Statistics calls all these employers, and I don't know exactly all the methodologies in their survey, but it's very human intensive. And so while they were still employed during the month of September to be able to do that, they weren't employed in the month of October to be able to do that. So we're not going to have a jobs report here released at all, ever. So the September report is coming late this Thursday. The October report is just never going to happen.
Wow. Okay.
So interesting. And then same thing with some of the inflation data, but we are going to start to get data again Thursday. We'll get that 2-month-old report. We're not going to have the October report, and we'll see what comes next.
A lot of chatter that in December we could potentially see a rate cut. There's a lot of people who, are saying that could be a potential. Is that going to have any interest? Because I know that when we've seen that over the last couple of weeks, interest rates have gone up. So do you think that's the same environment we're going to be in, or how should we be thinking about that as those headlines start to, come across our consumers' screens?
Yeah. Look, I think at the end of the day, we don't know, right? This is the problem. I think the Fed probably still cuts. And I think the 10-year probably, again, doesn't respond. I think what's happening now is the Fed cuts are necessary. Right? Like, that had to happen. We have to get that out of the way. But the real timing of rates coming down is going to be about inflation expectations. And so inflation expectations are going to, I believe, start to show up next year as we get to the 1-year anniversary of when inflation first responded to the tariffs, right? So think about the way these reports work. So the tariffs come out, inflation spikes up a little little bit. Well, until you go one full year later, you can't have inflation coming down from that mark. And so I believe getting into mid next year, those early upticks of inflation that happened in response to the tariffs will then show that they were temporary. They were a one-time bump, because if inflation drops back down mid next year, I think that's the trend that people want to see. And so if we find ourselves in a situation where the Fed already did what they had to do, the Fed already cut the short-term rates, because you cannot have long-term rates coming down while short-term rates are still at highly elevated levels. So the Fed will have cut rates and gotten out of the way, and then they're basically handing the ball over to inflation to dictate when the 10-year Treasury starts to follow those short-term rates, because that's what we need as an industry for mortgage rates to come down. And I believe that we're setting up a great situation for next year. Now, a lot can change. I don't like to make predictions. This is not a guarantee. Don't go bet the house on the 10-year Treasury, but this is how I see the playing field lining up right now and how I'm making business decisions in my life.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we are just about at time. So one, I want to thank you for always breaking that down. You are making something incredibly complex very easy for us to understand. And whether you are necessarily super familiar with these concepts or not, you are getting a great opportunity to start understanding this. And the more and more you tune into this, the more and more you hear it, it's going to start making more sense. And so I just want you to be encouraged that, you know, this is a learning process. And thankfully, Robert understands it so well and breaks it down in such a great way. But we are at the end of the show. So any final words for you as we head into this week?
Nah, man, we'll put out on social media how we do tomorrow night. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Hodge, by not bringing home number one. I don't see that being statistically possible, but I do think we're going to do well. We'll find out tomorrow, which is going to be great. And then I'll be back in Florida on Wednesday, back in the studio next Monday for the first time in 3 or 4 weeks now. I mean, we've just been on the road a lot. But you know, keep doing what you're doing. Stay out there, represent us. I'm so proud of all of you. I'm proud of the work you're doing. This company would be absolutely nothing without all of you. Doing the hard things, getting out there and holding those open houses, marketing your listings right now, even when traffic is down, even when it feels like, you know, buyers have put themselves on the sidelines. Again, this is a very, very tricky market. We have to keep doing the hard work. We have to keep pushing through. It is statistically impossible for the market not to rebound at some point. There is no world where the U.S. economy stays at 4 million annualized home sales forever. We have too many homes. We have too much population. There are other potential things coming. This 50-year mortgage idea. There's been talks about changes in capital gains. Obviously, we've got the 10-year coming down at some point in the future. We just have to stay the course. We have to stay committed. And that is what makes this business hard. And that is what separates all of you as winners from all the agents who are not going to win when this market turns. So keep doing the hard work. We're here to have your back. I'm here to personally support you and represent you out here in the world, in the community. Make it a great week. And we'll see you next week right back here on Motivation Monday.